Hi everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to work decreases in crochet. In my last video I showed you how to work increases and increase your stitches from 10 to 20, or how to work increases in general. But for this video we're going to work on decreases, and there are actually two ways to do this. So let me start by just telling you that I have a chain 11 for the sample, and then I've worked one single crochet into each space. So I have 10 single crochet to start with. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then we have our turning chain here. So now I want to make this row half its size. I want 5 stitches only. So I'm going to do this by decreasing into each space. Now, some people like to decrease simply by skipping one space and working your single crochet into the next. So we can do that. Let's try that now. Just skip. I'm going to skip this first space, insert my hook into this second space, and just single crochet. See, that works. It takes your 2 stitches and turns it into 1. I'm going to continue that down the row. Just skip one space and single crochet into the next. Skip one, single crochet into the next. Skip one, and single crochet into the next. And one more time, we're going to skip one and single crochet into the next, which is also our last one. Okay, so here's our piece. You can see how it curved this way because there's more stitches on the bottom than there are on the top. And we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches here. And that works. That's a very effective way of decreasing, just skipping one and working into the next. However, the thing I don't like about this kind of decrease is that it leaves a pretty big gap from where you skipped stitches. If you don't mind this, you can continue working this way, but a better way that I found is to work in this way. Let me just undo this row so I can show you. Okay, here we are. Now instead of skipping this first space and working into this one, we're actually going to pull up a loop from this first space. We're not going to yarn over and close the stitch yet. We're going to actually insert our hook again into the next space. Okay, and now that we have 3 loops in our hook, we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. So it's a little bit like a half double crochet, but instead of it being in one space, it takes up 2 spaces. So you had these 2 spaces down here, and you turned it into 1. So let me do that again. Insert your hook into the first space and pull up a loop. Insert into your next space and pull up another loop. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, just like that. Okay, let me continue all the way down. This type of decrease also works with other stitches, not just single crochet. You start out the same way and then finish it by closing it off like that. Okay, so here we are. Oops, this stitch is actually a bit loose. Let me redo this one. Okay, there we go. Now again, we have the same thing. We have it curving this way because we've decreased this top row. We have more stitches on the bottom than we do on top, so it does curve in the same way, but these gaps are much smaller. I don't know if it shows up as well on camera as it does in person, but you still have little bits of gaps, but they are much smaller than they would be if you were working in our regular decreases just by skipping spaces. You can especially notice it here on the first stitches that I worked. There's practically no gap at all over here, but there's still a little bit of a gap here, but they are much, much smaller. Okay, so here is my sample after I've decreased in each space using my going through both loops method. And you can see that although there are still some gaps, they are much, much smaller than they were with the regular skip one space and then single crochet into the next type of decrease. I prefer this method. Both are fine. They work the same way. But this way just seems a bit neater and cleaner to me, and you don't always notice it right away in a small sample like this. But if you're working with stuffed animals or toys, you notice it then because you don't want the holes to show as much because you want all of the stuffing to be inside still. So for those kind of projects, this decrease works much better.